The Eastern Conference just got shaken up in a major way. Jaylen Brown is reportedly headed to Philadelphia, while Paul George and a package of draft picks are going back to Boston. This is not just another offseason trade. This is a move that could completely change the balance of power in the East. Philadelphia is adding a proven two-way star, a former Finals MVP, and one of the most physical wings in basketball. Boston, meanwhile, is moving on from one and a half of the duo that defined its recent era. So today, we're breaking down the full deal, how Jaylen Brown fits with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, why Boston may have made this move, and whether Philadelphia just became a real championship favorite. According to the reported trade, Philadelphia receives Jaylen Brown. On the other side of the trade, Boston receives Paul George, a 2028 first round pick, a 2031 first round pick coming from Philadelphia, plus second round picks in 2028 and 2030. From Philadelphia's perspective, this is an aggressive win now move. The Sixers are giving up draft capital, but they are replacing Paul George with a younger, more durable, and more physical wing. Brown gives them another player who can create his own shot, defend top scorers, attack in transition, and take pressure off both Embiid and Maxey. For Boston, this looks like a combination of staying competitive now while rebuilding flexibility for later. Paul George can still help immediately, but the additional picks give the Celtics more options down the road. This trade is basically Philadelphia betting on the present, while Boston tries to balance the present and the future. The biggest reason this deal is so interesting is the new trio of Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and Jaylen Brown. On paper, that group makes a lot of sense. Maxey gives Philadelphia speed, shooting, and perimeter creation. Brown gives them size, athleticism, and two-way wing play. And Embiid remains the centerpiece in the middle. And that's not to mention the scoring threat that VJ Edgecombe, their recent draft pick, also brings to the table. What Brown adds is exactly what Philadelphia has often needed in the playoffs. Another player who can create offense when the game slows down. He can attack mismatches, score in isolation, and defend the other team's best wing. He also does not need to control the ball on every possession, which should allow Maxey to remain aggressive. The biggest concern will still be health, especially with Embiid. But if this group reaches the postseason healthy, Philadelphia has enough talent to beat anyone in the East. This is not a developmental move, this is a championship bet. Now we have to ask the other side of the question. Why would Boston move Jaylen Brown? The answer is probably a mix of roster flexibility, age, money, and draft capital. Brown is still an elite player, but Boston may believe that Paul George can give them enough wing defense and scoring in the short term while the added picks improve their long-term options. The Celtics also avoid putting every future decision around the same expensive core. That does not mean Boston clearly won the trade. Losing Brown is a massive risk. He has already proven he can perform in the biggest moments, and replacing his physicality won't be easy. But if Paul George remains productive and Boston turns those picks into another major player later, the deal could look much better over time. This is the kind of trade that may take years to fully judge. This trade changes the entire future of the Eastern Conference. Philadelphia now belongs in the top tier alongside the Knicks, the Heat, and the Celtics. The Sixers already had elite talent in Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and VJ Edgecombe, but adding Jaylen Brown gives them more shot creation, more size on the wing, and another proven playoff performer. New York remains one of the deepest and most complete teams in the conference. Miami is always dangerous because of its coaching, defense, and recent addition of Giannis Antetokounmpo. Boston is still a contender, but replacing Brown with Paul George creates new questions about health, chemistry, and consistency. The biggest difference is that Philadelphia no longer feels like a team hoping everything goes perfectly. With Brown, the Sixers now have another player capable of taking over a playoff game. They have raised the ceiling, but they have also raised the pressure. Anything short of a deep postseason run will now feel like a disappointment. So, what's next? The next step is figuring out whether this roster can actually function as well as it looks on paper. Brown will need to adjust to a whole new offense in a different role. Maxey must continue developing as a lead guard. Embiid has to stay available for the games that matter most, and VJ Edgecombe has to continue developing as a player. If these pieces come together, the Sixers should be viewed as a top contender in the East. But this move also creates enormous pressure. Philadelphia gave up future assets because it believes this core can win now. Anything less than a deep playoff run will be considered disappointing. My early view is that the trade makes Philadelphia better immediately. Brown fits the timeline better than George, gives the team more athleticism, and brings a proven championship mentality. Boston may still benefit long term, but Philadelphia made the move that creates the biggest impact right now. The East is officially different, and the Sixers just became one of the teams everyone will be wanting to watch next season. So, what do you think? Do you think Philadelphia won this trade, or did Boston make the smarter long term move? Comment below and tell us which NBA story you want Ball Up Top to cover next. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another breakdown. And remember, put the ball up top.